Welcome all of you to our monthly live video webcast where we're going to walk through one of Winnebago's proprietary advantages that they have over other manufacturers, which is their OnePlace panel. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. What makes these interactive presentations so wonderful with our customers is the fact that you can literally chat in your questions live as we go through the OnePlace panel or through any of our live video webcasts by logging into the right-hand side of your screen. If you click on the chat box, you actually don't have to assemble a login ID. You can actually just chat your questions directly into us, where we'll cover your questions live as we go through this month's topic of the OnePlace panel. So again, welcome to all of you. I also want to welcome Josh Dam. He's our Special Events and Marketing Director behind the camera. And as we start the interactive presentation of Winnebago's OnePlace panel, what we thought was a relevant topic for all of you, our guests out there, is the fact that as we trade for a lot of coaches, some coaches, travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, which are non-Winnebago coaches, we really find a lot of value in Winnebago's branded OnePlace panel because all of their systems, all of their monitoring panels are in one easy to read location. And as we trade for these coaches and we're trying to find different components that functions within the plumbing system or the electrical system, we find ourselves scattered throughout the entire RV. Winnebago does a really effective job of taking all of their main operational panels and placing them in one easy to read location. So what we thought we would do today is walk you through the OnePlace panel for this Winnebago Adventurer 35P. This is a full wall slide floor plan with two opposing slide outs. And again, like all of Winnebago coaches, we have our OnePlace panel in one concise, easy to read location. So as we go through this, make sure that you chat in any of your questions that may be relevant to your coach or a coach that you're looking at, that you're possibly looking at purchasing, and we'll walk you through each of those top to bottom. So Josh, if we can start out up top, the first thing we're going to cover is the fact that Winnebago does try to minimize the number of locations for each of their slide room controls. So you can see here at the top we have slide out controls for the driver's side front slide, and then also for the passenger side rear slide. So again, one easy to read location. In some of our models, this may be concealed behind a cabinet door, but literally all the way from our Class B lineup all the way up to our Grand Tour and Ellipse Ultra pushers, one easy to read location. Typically, we also have the thermostat that's utilized for the zoned air conditioner setup. So for example, this is a dual rooftop air conditioner. This is the TrueAir Maximum Comfort System. And the way that we can actually have one centralized thermostat is because we have different sensors mounted throughout the entire coach. And so if I illuminate this here, you'll see that the sensor is built into the thermostat, and you have different zones that you can actually see for the front versus the rear, or in some cases even the basement. So one concise location for the thermostat, again, because we're utilizing auxiliary sensors. So if your thermostat in your coach or your thermostat that you're looking at in a potential purchase is somewhere else, that's because the thermostat and the sensor is actually mounted inside the thermostat. With all of our TrueAir Maximum Comfort systems that we utilize now, we have different zones. So you can see as we toggle through here, we have two different zones in this 35P. This allows us to tailor the front to the rear, but also it minimizes which of the air conditioners will actually kick on to be able to cool that zone. Some of our diesel pushers, they actually have a third zone, and then we also have a separate thermostat for the basement itself. So within this thermostat, we also have not only the air conditioner system, but also scrolling through the different system components, we have gas heat and also electrical heat, and then we can just completely turn it off. So again, this is the TrueAir Maximum Comfort System. Again, we're in a Winnebago Adventurer 35P where you can zone the different areas.
We do have a question here. Is this the same type of setup as you'd find in the 59K Travato?
It is. Actually, in the 59K Travato, it's going to be alongside the passenger side to the rear of the twin bed. So it's going to be actually at the headboard on the passenger side rear within the 59K, of which we actually received our first 59K here within the hour. That includes the granite upgraded paint scheme. So you might check that out. Once we're done with this webcast, Josh is going to do a full photo shoot and video shoot of our 59K. Again, this location would be at the headboard of the 59K on the passenger side twin bed. That'll include your controls for your solar panel charger, your Truma Combi, and all in one concise, easy to read location. Another question that came in wanting to know what this is actually one of the screw locations that fastens the decorative trim around the OnePlace panel. So again, great questions, and that's what really makes these so interactive, is the fact that we can communicate with you as we're going through the OnePlace panel. So this actually is a new LCD display that came out a few years ago from Winnebago Industries. This allows you to look at not only your plumbing system, but also your holding tank system from one panel. So it's an LED backlit system. You have an independent 12-volt on-demand water pump switch that works independently of the other locations. So we'll have a water pump switch within the bathroom. We'll also have a water pump switch outside in the utility center. Or if you have a bath and 1/2 floor plan in each of the bathrooms themselves. We also have controls in this coach for the 110-volt water heater, as well as the propane side of the water heater. And just with a very simple push of a button, you can see as they change on the LCD display. Now, this is one of Winnebago's proprietary coaches that has the Motorade engine assist, which utilizes the engine heater core to actually heat the water continuously as you travel down the road. You'll notice that there is no switch for that. That works as a blanket wrap around the water heater, much like the LP side does. And so we don't have to worry about turning that on or off. So the Motorade system will actually function 100% of the time as a blanket wrap around the water heater. A lot of our models from the Vista and Sunstar LX models on up will have the Winnebago proprietary Motorade engine assist. That's a feature that Winnebago has been utilizing for decades. It's a system that is fairly independent to Winnebago Industries, but again, the Motorade system will function completely on its own without any switching on or off.
All right, we do have a question. When you call for electric heat, does the gas furnace also turn on?
Actually, those work completely independently. So if you turn on the electric water heater, that'll use the element that runs up through the middle part of, in this case, the 10-gallon gas and electric water heater. So it'll utilize the electric element only, and then the LP works independently as well. We're going to show you here in a little bit, that's also a very simple way to actually trip the Powerline energy management system into freeing up more amps for you as you utilize your coach. Because if you do need to free up amperage, you can turn the electric water heater off, turn the propane on, and save anywhere from 6 to 8 amps of electrical usage. Great questions. So again, keep those questions coming in and we'll cover those as we go throughout. So also you have your level system on the right side of the OnePlace panel. Now, when we turn on the tank monitoring system, if you look at the fresh, the gray, and the black tank, that's what we refer to in a lot of our walkthrough videos as the true level holding tank monitoring system. And so what Winnebago does with their freshwater tank, the gray, and the black tank in a majority of the coaches that we offer, they'll actually have the true level holding tank monitoring system, in which these are literally sonar sensors that are affixed to the outsides of Winnebago's one-piece rotocast tanks. So unlike some other manufacturers that will take their holding tanks that they purchase from another manufacturer, drill a hole through, and use a traditional probe, literally within the fresh tank, the gray tank, and the black tank, we put sonar sensors that detect the fluid levels. And the benefit to you, our guest, is the fact that we don't have to worry about tissue paper getting hung up on the sensors corroding over time, which you have, if you have a coach prior to 2005, you're probably familiar with, because over time those probes become corroded and then provide false readings. So with the sonar sensors, they very simply indicate when there's fluid levels present or solids present, and then send the signal back to the OnePlace panel. So again, that's the sonar sensors and the true level holding tank monitoring system.
All right, an update from a previous question was actually, I guess, referring to the heat pump and furnace.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you bet. So Josh, if we can come back up into here. If you utilize the electric heat pump, so if your coach has a heat pump in it, and you have the coach set to electric heat, the guest is absolutely correct in the fact that if there is greater than a 5 degree of separation from the actual temperature and your desired temperature, not only will the electric heat kick on from your air conditioners, Winnebago then ties that into the furnace, and the furnace will kick on automatically. So you'll literally have warm air coming out from your heat pump. You'll have warm air coming up from down below in your basement heat to rapidly bring you to within 5 degrees of your set room temperature within about 20 minutes. So the electric heat pump then ties into the furnace just as the guest indicated. Once it's within 5 degrees, the thermostat shuts down the furnace and it lets the heat pump finish its job. And so that'll occur with outdoor ambient temperatures anywhere from about 36 to 40 degrees. If it's below that 36 to 40 degree outdoor ambient temperature, the heat pump will actually just shut itself down and it'll kick on your furnace. So that's a real handy tool if you're at a resort and you have pets within the coach, or if the temperature outside rapidly drops, because the coach will know to turn its furnace on to keep your tanks from freezing, but also to keep your pets warm, or if there's people within the coach that aren't as knowledgeable about how to provide heat to the coach.
All right, we have another question. Does the engine on Naviance heat the water?
The Winnebago View and the Itasca Naviance do not have the motor 8 engine assist. So that usually starts within the gasoline powertrain systems on up with our Class C's and Class A's. But again, the Mercedes-Benz, they don't tie into that Mercedes-Benz heater core. One of the benefits actually to diesel technology, and we run into this a lot within our Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC franchises, is that diesel technology is so efficient that a lot of times we run into difficulties with diesel technology of providing enough heat actually for the front cab area in some of our light duty passenger trucks. Not an issue with Mercedes on up in the RV industry, but that diesel technology is so efficient it doesn't generate enough heat to actually pump that back towards your water heater. But a great question. Thank you for that.
All right, another one. How often do you need to empty the black tank, assuming it's not full?
Well, I mean, really, that's kind of a loaded question, but really with respect to your black waste tank, you want to keep it as moist as possible, quite frankly. And from experience 15, 20 years ago, I can attest to that. But you really want to keep that black tank as moist as possible so that the solids inside don't become more solid, and so that they actually dry out and literally become a solid that you can't drain. So I would recommend that if you're away from your coach for more than a week or two, make sure you fill up that gray tank first, dump your black, and then flush it back with your gray tank. But really as often as possible while still being able to keep it moist. Touchy subject. All right, so again, that's the true level holding tank monitoring system. In this coach, we also have a sensor that runs back to the propane tank to give you a readout of your LP system. And then the last button within this actual control panel are your battery readouts. So this is telling us that our chassis battery has 14.2 volts and our house battery has 14.1 volts, or batteries, I should say, in this coach. Okay, so Josh, if you can kind of zoom into this, this is a really phenomenal feature that Winnebago started introducing right around the year 2000. And really it was predicated based on the fact that we went to dual rooftop airs in some of the coaches prior to basement air. This is the Powerline energy management system. And a lot of manufacturers have something that's similar to this. The main goal to the Powerline energy management system is that if you have to downgrade your service from 50 amp to 30 amp, literally because you're at a resort that only offers 30 amp, or perhaps you have it plugged into your garage or your home and you're limited to 20 amp, as soon as you plug this coach in, and we're plugged into 50 amp service right now, so it's not even going to read out, but if you're plugged into 30 or 20, it's going to automatically sense that. And the main goal of the Powerline energy management system is, rather than tripping a breaker on your resort or at your home when you jump over 30 amps or 20 amps, rather than throwing that breaker, if you look off on the right here, it's going to give you a status of what appliances the Powerline energy management system is actually going to shed or turn off to allow you to not throw that breaker if you're plugged into 30 or 20 amp service. So a real handy feature, especially for homeowners that may actually have 15 or 20 amp in their garage and they're not familiar with where their breaker system is at. But the first thing in this model, the Powerline energy management system is going to do is it's going to turn off your electric water heater. Then it's going to flip off your refrigerator, and the fridge will flip over from 110 volt to LP. It's then going to turn off the rear air And then lastly, it's going to turn off the front air. Again, all geared towards not tripping the breaker on your home or your resort. The beauty of Winnebago's system is twofold. When power is restored, so if you turn that hairdryer off or you turn that convection oven off, rather than not allowing you to utilize these appliances, Winnebago's system is actually going to turn them back on in descending order. So it'll actually restore itself to all of these appliances. The second benefit to Winnebago's Powerline energy management system is Winnebago independently runs each of these appliances into the Powerline energy management system. They do not daisy chain them together like other manufacturers do, in which if you have a problem with one of these components, it literally shuts your entire electrical system down. So Winnebago takes each one of these and wires them directly into the Powerline energy management system. How are we doing on chats?
No questions right now.
All right, well, we've had some good chats today, so if you guys have questions, make sure you keep them coming in. So again, that's the Powerline energy management system. Again, the main goal is very simply to alleviate the opportunity to have a breaker trip on your resort or on your home if you have to downgrade, in this coach, a 50 amp coach down to 30 or 20. And again, it's going to do it completely automatically. There's nothing that you have to do. Okay, so working down, this is one of 3 different locations in which you can start and stop in this coach a Cummins Onan 5500 watt gasoline powered generator. Okay, what this main box actually is, and it looks a little bit different than some of the other manual toggle switches that you may have with a generator switch, is this is an automatic generator start system. And there's a couple of benefits to this. Let's walk through the benefits and then what it actually will do. One of the benefits is that you can press and hold the stop button and it will prime the pump on the generator to provide a more fluid start for the generator, but it will also provide you a quicker start, especially for diesel generators that may have glow plugs instead of a spark plug. So again, it has the prime pump feature. The second main benefit is that you can program this so that if your RV batteries do get low, it reserves enough power in your house or RV batteries to start the generator, bring your batteries back up to 14 volts, and then it will actually shut your generator down for you once your batteries are charged. The third benefit to the automatic generator start system is that if you have pets within your coach, or if you have people within your coach that aren't as knowledgeable as you, and if your resort or home or wherever you're at loses power, you can program this so that it automatically kicks your generator on to keep the coach cool, to keep your pets safe, to keep your coach inhabitants comfortable. And then when power is restored, it'll turn the generator back off. All of those features are also available in which you can program no generator hours. So if you're at a resort or a national park or a state park and they have no generator hours, you can literally set this up so that you have peak hours to where this can kick itself on and hours where it will not automatically turn the generator on for you. With some of our coaches that have the residential refrigerator packages paired in with AGM glass mat batteries, this is a real great feature because it reserves enough power within your RV batteries to turn the generator on, and then once they're charged, it'll turn itself off.
All right, we do have a question going back to the Powerline. Since the Naviance does not have the Powerline, how would you plug into 110 and still manage your power?
So with the Winnebago View and Itasca Naviance, that's a 30 amp coach. And so if it's a 30 amp coach, you can literally run all of the stuff per se in the coach without jumping over 30 amps. However, if you have to downgrade it to 20 amp, possibly because you're plugged into your garage, or if you're plugged into a rural park that only has 110 volt, it won't actually read this out for you, and you would have to do that manually just by knowing what's on and what's off. Now, some of our water heaters also have an energy management system in them, in which power, once you jump up over 20 amps, it'll actually turn your electric water heater off, but it's actually hidden within the water heater panel. So the Winnebago View and Itasca Naviance do not have that. But again, unless you're plugged into 20 amp or 15 amp service, it's really difficult to throw a breaker in a Winnebago View or Itasca Naviance because it's a 30 amp designed coach.
All right, this might be a little more to it than we can cover here, but how do we program to auto start the gen?
Yep, and so that's actually pretty straightforward. And when you jump into it, you can get different readouts. So again, this is going to tell us how charged our batteries are. You just use the toggle switches up and down. So right now it's telling us our batteries are full. And you can go into different components within this to actually set that. Probably the best way is to just follow the step, but there's a quick start guide in your black homeowner's bag, which I can actually send to you. If you want to send me an email to ron@lichtsinn.com, I can just cover a step-by-step procedure on how to program that if you'd like. But again, it's just using the toggle switches, and that's also how you set the automatic on and automatic off hours. So again, the no generator hours. It's just using the up and down arrows to toggle through the menu. Going back to where we were at, we were actually covering a guest question on how to program the automatic generator start feature for a Cummins onan generator. And so again, toggling through this is how you allow it to set up. So if you go into setup genset, hit enter, it'll tell you what type it is, and you can set the generator hours going through that menu setup. You can also do various tests of your generator and then exit back out. Now again, if you don't have that, here's where you can see you can start the generator hours and the generator hours, and again, you can run it manually. So if you don't have that step-by-step guide in your black homeowner's bag, just shoot me an email at ron@lichtsinn.com, and I've got a quick PDF that I can send to you.
All right, we did have a question. What is the recommended reading on the generator in order to recharge your batteries?
I believe that it actually reserves somewhere between 3 and 4. When you look at your actual battery readout, it'll bring down somewhere in that 3 to 4 volt range. It'll actually reserve just enough to start the generator, and then it'll charge it back up. But again, I have that in the specs to the automatic generator start system to tell you exactly when it kicks in. But it reserves just enough 12 volt power in your RV batteries to fire the generator, charge them back up, and then this will actually shut your generator back down.
All right, and then a question about having issues getting a washer and dryer powered in a 2015 36M, I believe it says. Would that be right?
I'm having issues getting my washer and dryer powered. Okay, so the washer and dryer in a 36M can actually only run off of 110 volt power coming through either your shoreline cord or through by running your generator. Now, the first test that I would do is I would test the outlet that the washer and dryer are plugged into. And again, if you want to shoot me an email or give me a call, I can walk you through that step by step. But again, the first thing that I would do is literally check to ensure that you've got power to that outlet, because that's mainly just a residential style appliance. So if you've got 110 volt power to that outlet, then it must be an operational issue within the washer and dryer. However, test that outlet first. But again, as we jump down to the inverter, that's not going to actually run off of your inverter. It'll only run off of shoreline power or your generator in a 36M. If I didn't answer that question correctly, maybe just chat me a little bit more information and I can cover it here in the webcast, or just give me a call or shoot me an email at ron@lichtsinn.com. But great questions today. Okay, so in this coach, again, this is a Winnebago Adventurer 35P. The last feature that we're going to cover, this is the 1000 watt inverter. Now, what an inverter does is it takes basically the power off of your RV batteries, inverts it to provide electricity to designated outlets. Now, in this Winnebago Adventure, you can see this is a Xantrex Pro 1000 watt inverter, which means it'll supply 1000 watts worth of stuff to basically power. Now, in this coach, it's powered to the audio-visual entertainment system for satellite technology. It's also powered now to the rear bedroom so that you can run appliances in your bedroom at night, such as cell phone chargers, alarm clocks, CPAP or BPAP machines. Now, each coach is going to be different in terms of what is actually run into the 1000 watt inverter. And if you have a 300 or a 600 or a 100 watt inverter, that's only going to power your audio-visual system. And then also, if you've got the 1000 watt inverter, Winnebago now runs it into the bedroom for those bedroom appliances. If you have a coach such as an Adventurer on up or a diesel pusher, some of the earlier Adventurers had 2000 watt inverters, and in some of our diesel pushers, such as the previous guest chatted in their 36M Journey or Meridian, that will actually have a 2800 watt pure sine wave inverter. So if your inverter is 2000 watts or above, that's going to be what's considered a whole house inverter. And what a whole house inverter does is it basically powers electricity to each of your electrical outlets throughout the coach. The only exception being things such as the washer and dryer and the central air and the dishwasher. So again, 1,000 watt inverter in this adventure powers the audio visual system and also the bedroom. 2,000 and on up will do whole house inverter.
Are all the 112 volt plugs hot when using the inverter? Yep,
really great question. And again, with this being a 1,000 watt inverter, Winnebago runs it into the audio visual system in the armoire and then also the rear bedroom. If you have a 300 watt or a 600 watt inverter in one of your coaches that's a little bit older, that will just be the audio visual system. If you have a 2,000 watt or 2,800 watt inverter, that will be a whole house inverter. So literally all of the 110 volt outlets throughout the coach will be hot, with the exception of the washer and dryer, the rooftop air, and if you have a dishwasher.
How do you know what items are being powered by the inverter?
And again, it just depends on the size and the year, make, and model of your coach. So if you have a question on that and you have a specific year, make, and model of a coach, if you send that to me, I can send you the wiring diagrams to tell you exactly which outlets. But again, primarily, if you're 1,000 watts or below, it's going to be the audio visual system and then also the rear bedroom outlets near the headboard. But really great questions today.
What type of inverter do you have in the 59K?
The 59K actually utilizes 12 volt appliances primarily throughout the entire coach, so that there's not a need for the inverter. And so our 59Ks that are coming in will actually have a 100 watt solar panel system up on the roof along with 12 volt appliances throughout. In the 59K, as I'm thinking out loud, the only appliances that you would not be able to run directly off of the 12 volt system that utilizes the solar panel backup and the generator backup would be the rooftop air and the convection microwave. Otherwise, literally everything else in the 59K will run directly off of your 12 volt system, and thus there's not a need for an inverter. But great questions today on a fairly, to be frank, dry topic. But a lot of great information and a wonderful proprietary advantage that Winnebago offers within their OnePlace panel. How are we doing on chats?
Good. We have one more. It cut out on me a little here, though. Is there protection from running out of battery power using the inverter?
There is, actually. And Josh, if you zoom in here real quickly, there's different stages, and I'm glad you brought that up, and thank you for chatting that question in. You'll see within the panel, they utilize 3 different stoplight modes. And it'll actually tell you, and it'll actually shut the inverter down to reserve enough power for you, whether you're in green mode, yellow mode, or yellow mode. Or excuse me, red mode. So again, it just kind of utilizes stoplights, and when you run the inverter, it'll actually tell you your input voltage, your current, and then how much it's actually putting out. But that's a really great question, and I should have covered that, but thank you for that.
That's all for questions right now.
So as we just wrap up, if you have a question, go ahead and chat it in. We can continue to cover it. But again, I want to thank you all for joining us today as we covered the OnePlace panel, a proprietary advantage that Winnebago offers to provide seamless, concise operation of your coach from one panel within the coach. As you look at other manufacturers that offer different monitoring systems, really think about all the different places that you have to go within the coach to utilize different operational appliances within that coach before you select anything other than a Winnebago Itasca or Winnebago Touring Coach product. Also keep in mind, what we did today was a live interactive presentation on one very small component of the Winnebago coach. We do a lot of live high definition interactive presentations right here within our marketing studio with any of our factory trained consultants. We can do that at any point in time from the comfort of your own home or office. We can conference in a partner, a spouse, for a wonderful 3-way live interactive presentation of a coach, again from the comfort of your own home or office with any of our factory trained consultants on any of our in-stock RVs. We do a lot of those each day, and it's a wonderful tool to educate our guests and display our product knowledge of Winnebago Industries product.
All right, couple questions to end the webcast.
Let's do it.
Won't the generator start up if the inverter has run the battery down?
If you have a automatic generator start system, it will actually run independently. So the automatic generator start system will know how much power is left, it will then actually kick the generator on, recharge your batteries, and then shut itself off.
All right, if you add a solar panel, does it only charge the batteries?
It will only charge the RV batteries unless you custom wire that into what's considered a trickle start system. And what that'll do is it'll actually charge not only your RV batteries, but also your chassis batteries. We don't do a whole lot of that because chassis batteries tend to be very low maintenance and somewhat bulletproof. And so we've done some trickle starts. We do a lot of trickle starts on Winnebago Views and Itasca Naviance. And basically what that does is whether or not you're plugged into 110 volt, or if you're running your generator, or if you have solar, it'll actually charge your RV batteries as well as your chassis batteries.
All right, and then 2008 35A with a 600 watt inverter.
Perfect.
Asking what that would run.
Okay, so that's going to run your audio visual components, and in the 35A it'll be right up over the cockpit, and you probably have a little yellow box down low within your main walkways, and that's actually the location for your inverter, and that will power your audio visual components right above the cab area.
That's it for questions.
Great testing. Wonderful test for the owner.
That was a tough one.
Yeah, that's great. But again, I want to thank all of you for joining us today. I want to thank you all for your wonderful questions. Again, if you have questions, you can chat live directly into our website. We staff all of our chat live with factory trained personnel that are employees of our dealership, and they display the same factory knowledge that we pursue right here within our dealership. We don't outsource that like a lot of other dealerships. They're live Lichtsinn RV employees. But again, they're right on our website at lichtsinn.com. And again, keep in mind, we can always do those live interactive presentations on any of our in-stock RVs on a coach that you're looking at to go beyond that 20 to 30 minute high definition video that we have on all of our in-stock inventory.